Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Brendan. Today I'm going to be reviewing these three coolers. Let's see, we've got the Igloo Playmate 16 quart, the Stanley Adventure 16 quart, and the Yeti Roadie 20. So these two are the same size cooler, and this one's a little bit bigger. Um, and today I'm reviewing these mostly because on YouTube, when I'm looking to make a purchase, I do a lot of research, and the same goes for the coolers. So I've seen a ton of content on what I'm going to be calling the premium coolers. So Yetis, Arctics, whatever, these roto-molded coolers, but not so much on what I'm calling the hybrid and the workman's coolers. These coolers are left to the wayside mostly because they cost a lot less. That's the reason I imagine they're left to the side. But I'd like to see some compare and contrasts along the spectrum of price. And I think I'm qualified to make this review mostly because I've just used these coolers a lot through different purposes. Excuse me. Through various purposes, I've used them. So the factors that I look at when I'm buying a cooler, I don't think I'm buying a new one anytime soon. But when I looked at these, there was 5 factors that I looked at. Number 1 was price. That's my biggest priority in my situation. Number 2 is effectiveness. So how well does the cooler keep my food cold? Number 3 is durability. If I invest in a cooler, especially one that costs money, I would like to have it last. Number 4 is mobility or size. I think that's a big concern in coolers, and I don't think it's talked about enough. And number 5 is sort of extraneous details or whatnot that might not be deciding factors, but could help you sway your decision. So let's talk about price. This was $15 at a grocery store. This was $63 on Amazon, but it varies with color and size. You can get a smaller version of this, but Stanley advertises this as $70. The Yeti was $159, but I bought it on a special. I forget where, but the present day equivalent of this cooler would be the charcoal Roadie, and that goes for $200. So let's talk about insulation and effectiveness here. This isn't very well insulated compared relative to these two, and it doesn't have a seal on it, so it's not as effective as keeping air out. So I'd say you're probably gonna be getting a day out of this. This will keep your food for a day, 12 hours at most. And then moving on, we're looking at, in my experience, about 3 days of keeping my food cold, but around 2 days to 2.5 days of keeping ice. A lot of people talk about how long does the cooler keep ice. That's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is if I left the melted ice in there, the water, how long will it keep my vacuum sealed food cold? And that's 3 days typically with this. If you follow the tips that Stanley gives, you'll get 3 days. For this, I just haven't had a need to go past 3 days, so it's kept ice for 3 days. I know other people on YouTube tout that it can last up to 5 or 6 days. I just haven't found the necessity to do that. So maybe if I go on a long trip later, I can post an update video. But for right now, I'm standing at 3 days because I can't tell you from my own experience anything else. Let's talk about durability. So this one is going to be the most fragile, mostly because it has a lot of parts and they're all made of plastic. But I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't tell you that this cooler has been absolutely fine for me. I like to treat my things well, so I'm not dropping it or I'm not, just throwing it in the truck bed. So if you can do that, I think this cooler will be fine. Truthfully, I can see it failing mostly because It's consistent of cheap parts, so it's not going to last forever, and I see it failing sooner relatively to these two than later. I've already had it for about 7 months, and it goes on the job site with me every day, and it looks practically brand new still. So durability is what you make it. So let's keep that in mind. The Stanley Adventure. This thing is made to last. Very impact resistant. It's tough. Putting my weight on there, it doesn't budge. Stanley touts that you can sit on it. I have not. Again, sort of just the lack of need. I use this when I go camping or fishing or anything like that, and I usually have a seat at hand. But I also don't think I would, mostly because I don't want to compromise it. I spent like $65 with tax or whatever. I don't want to break it. I think that's foolish. So this thing has worked fine. It's gone on flights with me. I put it in my carry-on, and then I use it. Like I went to Zion the other week, and it held up very well. Nothing wrong with it. No scrapes or anything like that. We're good to go. The Yeti. This thing's a tank. This thing's bulletproof. I've sat on it. I've stood on it. On YouTube, I've seen people put motorcycles on it, using it as a dirt bike stand. This thing is solid. And the difference between this and the Adventure is this is roto-molded construction, as well as this is, at least the main part of this is. I don't know if you can see, but this gray area is roto-molded. This green part is a different part. This is a different part, and the hinges are different parts that are all bolted on. And that's the difference between these two. This is all one thing that's connected by a bolt right here that goes through the hinges. But other than that, and the rubber latches and the handle, it's all one piece. So the old adage is, the more ports you have, the more parts that can fail. So that's a plus for the Yeti. It is a little bit more durable than the Stanley. Let's talk about mobility. These two are essentially the same weight. This one's a little bit heavier, but it's almost negligible. And this one is pretty heavy. These two are fine to carry. They're not awkward. They're good. They're when you carry it on your side, it doesn't feel like you're going to be taken off your leg or anything like that. This one is a little bit awkward to carry, especially when you're thinking about buying a cooler. You need to think about not only how heavy is it right now, but how heavy is it going to be when you put ice and beer or food or drinks in it. And this thing can, in my experience, has gone up to like 50 pounds. And that's not bad if you're leaving it in a truck bed or you're taking it off and just moving it 5 or 10 feet to next to a campfire or anything like that. But say you're going to the beach, you park 2 blocks away, you got to haul it up there, you got to haul it through the sand. You're gonna look like a fool, and I've been in that position a couple times, and I've looked like a fool. But once you put it down, you're gonna be the cool guy on the block with the Yeti. So, there are a few extraneous details that I've sort of left out that I'd like to mention. The Igloo, it's there's nothing else to be said about it. The Stanley, I love this indentation here that acts as a little tray or table. Obviously you can use any cooler as a table besides this V-top. But it comes with this paracord or bungee that you can reconfigure using these plates here. I love that about the cooler. I put my Stanley thermos, or I put napkins when it's windy, or wet naps or whatever you need. I think it's a great little surface, especially for camping. I'm a big fan. Another mention for the Stanley is that it comes with a lifetime warranty for material. So if you don't abuse it, you can send it back to Stanley and they'll give you a new one. Now, personally, if this thing lasts through 5 years of hard work and a latch breaks or a hinge breaks or anything like that, I'll probably just dish out the money for a new one, only because I'm a fan of the Stanley products, and I'm not going to be petty about the $70 for a 5-year good cooler. Honorable mentions for the Yeti. Big fan of the padlock holes here on either side. You can throw a wire lock on there to strap it to your truck, or you can throw a regular padlock on there so nobody can get in. But you do need to be worried about security with these. You could say that about everything, but especially this, because it costs you $200 at the bare minimum. So that's a concern. But I'm a big fan of the indentation here, so you can throw a ratchet strap on here, and you can ratchet it down to a bed or anything like that, and you'll be good to go. But I just wanted to give you a few things that maybe you should think about when you're going in to purchase a cooler. Number one, for me at least, price. There's a big gap here, or there's a large spectrum of prices here. Number two is effectiveness, first, second, third, and you got to think about what you're going to use it for. This is the perfect one for me. I'm only ever going to need it for 3 days. Number three is going to be durability, at least for me. I'll go with the medium, especially for the $130 I'm going to save. Number four is going to be mobility. I'd rather not look like a fool, so I'll go with this one. And number five, you can't beat a lifetime warranty. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll have some more concise, quick content for you guys. I'm thinking about reviewing some hammocks that I like or don't like. I got some tools coming up, and I just bought the DeWalt Tough system with the modular toolbox there. But maybe I'll give you a first impression video. But I really need to test it out before I can throw a review up on YouTube. So I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but none of these brands give me any money or gave me these products. I bought this all with my own money. Hopefully I can help some of you guys out in deciding on a cooler. So in conclusion, I'd go with the Stanley first, then the Igloo, then the Yeti. This is a great all-around cooler. I'd rather go with a crappier cooler than spend $200 on an impulse buy again. That's not going to be a popular decision, but that's my opinion. Thanks. Let me know if you guys have any other opinions or comments. Just throw them on down there. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Thanks.